The sun shone brightly through the windows of Thompson's auto repair shop, casting a warm glow across the concrete floor where 36-year-old Ben Thompson crouched next to a classic motorcycle. His worn gray t-shirt and faded jeans were marked with the stains of a man who spent his days working with his hands. His intense focus reflected the satisfaction he found in understanding the inner workings of engines and the patience it took to revive them. Ben had taken over the small garage from his father 3 years ago, along with the responsibility of raising his 8-year-old son, Jake, as a single parent. The shop was modest, but it had earned the trust and loyalty of customers over the years through hard work and genuine craftsmanship. Ben made it a point to treat every vehicle that entered the shop like it was part of his family. On this particular Thursday afternoon, the quiet hum of a motorcycle engine suddenly sputtered and cut out just outside. From the open bay door, Ben saw a young woman struggling to push a vintage bike toward the entrance. Her dark hair shone in the sunlight as she battled with the heavy machine. She appeared to be in her early 30s, dressed simply in jeans and a gray t-shirt that suggested she was more concerned with comfort than with impressing anyone. Her motorcycle was clearly well maintained and carefully cared for, though something had clearly gone wrong with it. "Excuse me," the woman called out as she approached the shop. "I'm sorry to trouble you, but my bike broke down. Could you take a look at it?" Ben stood up quickly, wiping his hands on a rag as he made his way over. "Of course, bring it right in," he said. "I'm Ben Thompson and this is my shop. What seems to be the problem?" "I'm Rachel Morgan," she replied, relief evident in her voice. "It was running fine this morning, but about 2 miles ago, it started making a weird noise and then just stopped. I don't know much about engines, but I figured I shouldn't try to force it to start again." Ben appreciated Rachel's honesty and her wisdom in not attempting repairs herself. He helped her roll the motorcycle onto the main lift, admiring the quality of the restoration work and the obvious care put into maintaining the bike. "This is a beautiful bike," Ben remarked as he began inspecting it. "A 1973 Honda CB750, right? Whoever restored this clearly put a lot of effort into keeping it in top shape." Rachel smiled warmly. "It belonged to my grandfather. He restored it himself when I was a teenager, and he taught me to ride on country roads behind his house. When he passed away 5 years ago, he left it to me. I've been trying to keep it in the same condition he did." Ben felt a tug at his heart at the mention of her grandfather's legacy. His own father had passed on to him the skills and values of working with engines, teaching him the importance of integrity in every repair. "That's a beautiful way to honor his memory," Ben said. "Let me see what I can find." As Ben examined the engine, Rachel sat in a nearby chair, quietly watching as he worked. She was impressed by his careful and methodical approach, taking the time to check each component thoroughly rather than rushing to conclusions. "You really know what you're doing," Rachel observed as Ben tested various parts with practiced efficiency. "My dad always said every engine has its own personality," Ben explained without looking up. "You have to listen to what it's telling you before you can fix it. This bike has been well taken care of, so whatever's wrong is probably something simple." Rachel was impressed not only by his technical skill, but also by his respect for the motorcycle and her connection to it. Many mechanics, in her experience, treated vintage bikes like nuisances or took advantage of their value by overcharging for unnecessary repairs. After about 20 minutes of careful inspection, Ben straightened up with a satisfied smile. "I found the problem," he said. "It's the fuel pump relay. The connections have corroded enough to cause intermittent failure. The part costs about $15, and I can have you back on the road in about 30 minutes. Rachel breathed a sigh of relief. "That sounds wonderful. How much will it cost?" "The part is $15, and I'll charge you $20 for labor," Ben said. "This is the kind of repair your grandfather could have done himself, so I'm not going to treat it like a major rebuild." Rachel was taken aback by his fair pricing. Most shops would have charged much more, especially for a vintage motorcycle that required specialized knowledge. While Ben worked to replace the faulty relay, Rachel found herself talking with him about motorcycles, family traditions, and the satisfaction of working with your own hands. Ben spoke about his son Jake, who was beginning to show interest in engines, and about the challenges of passing on practical skills in a world that was increasingly digital. "Your son is lucky to have a father who can teach him those skills," Rachel said. There's something special about understanding how things work, about being able to fix things yourself. I agree, Ben said. Jake's only 8, but he already hands me tools and asks how engines work. I hope he'll always appreciate honest work and take care of what matters. Once Ben finished the repair and tested the motorcycle to make sure it was running properly, Rachel felt deeply grateful for his expertise and honesty. I can't thank you enough, Ben, she said as she reached for her wallet. You've been so kind, and you've treated my grandfather's bike with the respect it deserves. As Rachel prepared to pay, Ben noticed her quiet confidence, the kind that suggested she was used to making decisions and handling responsibility. There was something about her that hinted at a life more complex than her appearance let on. You know, Rachel said as she handed him the payment, I've been looking for a mechanic who understands vintage bikes and treats them properly. Would it be all right if I brought her in for regular maintenance? I'd be honored to take care of her, Ben replied sincerely. Your grandfather clearly put his heart into restoring this bike, and I'd be proud to help you keep that legacy alive. Over the following months, Rachel became a regular customer at Thompson's Auto Repair, bringing her motorcycle in for routine maintenance, and often staying to talk with Ben about mechanical projects, family traditions, and the rewards of working with your hands. Ben looked forward to her visits, appreciating her genuine interest in his work and her deep connection to her grandfather's memory. What Ben didn't know was that Rachel Morgan was actually Rachel Morgan Hartwell, the sole heir to a technology fortune worth billions of dollars. She served on several company boards and oversaw charitable foundations funding education and community programs nationwide. But in Ben's garage, Rachel was simply a person who valued honest work, fair pricing, and meaningful human connection. She had grown tired of people being interested in her wealth rather than her character. And in Ben, she had found someone who respected integrity over profit. 6 months later, Rachel's true identity was revealed by accident. An article about a new technology lab funded by the Morgan Hartwell Foundation featured a photograph of her, which Ben immediately recognized. When Rachel arrived for her next appointment, Ben was holding the newspaper with a confused expression on his face. Rachel, he said gently, there's something we need to talk about. Rachel saw the newspaper and knew the moment had arrived. I can explain, she said, her voice a mixture of relief and apprehension. You are Rachel Morgan Hartwell, Ben said quietly. The Rachel Morgan Hartwell. I am, Rachel admitted. But I'm also the person who's been bringing her grandfather's motorcycle to your shop, who appreciates the way you explain how engines work, and who has enjoyed every conversation we've had about family and values. Ben was silent for a few moments, processing what this meant for the relationship they had built. Why didn't you tell me? Because, Rachel said softly, I wanted someone to know me for who I am, not what I have. When I'm here with you and Jake, I'm not a billionaire or a board member. I'm just Rachel, someone who loves her grandfather's motorcycle, and has found something special in the friendship you've offered me. Ben looked at Rachel and realized that nothing had changed about the person he had come to care for. Rachel, he said finally, I don't care how much money you have. What matters to me is that you've been genuine with me about the things that really matter. Your kindness, your values, your love for your family's memory. Those are the things that make you who you are. 2 years later, Ben and Rachel were married in a small ceremony at the church where Ben's parents had wed 30 years earlier. Jake proudly served as the ring bearer, walking down the aisle ahead of the woman who had taught him that true wealth isn't measured in bank accounts, but in the love we share and the integrity we maintain in all our relationships. Rachel learned that the greatest discovery of her life wasn't her inheritance, but finding someone who loved her for her character, not her circumstances. And Ben realized that sometimes, the most extraordinary blessings come in the form of ordinary moments of kindness, shared with strangers who turn out to be the family we were always meant to find.